Good morning, guys and gals. New day, new site.
And this is one doozy of a site. In fact, if I would have known what we were getting into when we first started, I would have definitely bid things differently. So we're going out to remove and replace a timber retaining wall.
Yeah, that's a little messed up.
So the wall has started to rot in a few select areas. And that's one of the downfalls of timber retaining walls. Otherwise, the top is true and straight as can be. If the wall hadn't started rotting, it'd have been fine.
We're not going to get too far with that. No, man, I don't either. Nobody likes this thing. Listen to that. We sound so spoiled.
But look at this timber retaining wall right now. Do you see all them dead men in there? The company that built this overbuilt it and knew what they were getting into. We do have engineering on this, but our engineering isn't going to account for the unforeseen problems.
What we got? We're gonna start demoing what we can, and hopefully we get that Daewoo out here kind of sooner than later, because that would be a whole lot easier.
So the first thing that we're gonna do is just get the old timber retaining wall out there. While we're waiting for the Daewoo to come out, we just take the Volvo and just start demolishing it. I mean, I wanted to talk to you real briefly though about those tires. Those tires are, we call them a brickyard tire. It's really designed to stay on a hard surface. This is not a tire for landscaping work or any type of off-road work, because there's no air in the tire and there's no cush to the tire. And that means you get no traction to the tire. This is great if you're gonna be running over nails or tearing up concrete or doing something like that, because you'll never get a flat, but you'll never get any traction, and it's also hard on the operators. So if you've ever watched like those off-road shows where they've got, you know, off-road vehicles, they always got big fat tires, right? And the reason that is when they go off-roading, they actually air them down, and the more rubber they have on the ground, the better the traction, right? Well, with solid tires, you don't have that as an option. So that's why they suck off-road. So in the beginning of this job, we actually try to keep the site clean. This is just futile. So even though it looks like it's got an aggressive lug pattern, you're pushing this outside of its typical comfort zone. If there was air, we'd air the tires down a little bit, and then that lug pattern would actually grab and bite. So what Blaine is hitting is a secondary dead man. So the dead men go.
God, look at those tires just spinning, just spinning.
So the dead men go into the hill. If this is the face, the dead men go behind it. And then there's another dead man behind that. That's what he's showing right now. And that's how they stitch this together. And whoever this company was that built this wall, kudos to you, man. I love seeing jobs well built. If this wall hadn't rotted out, it wasn't gonna go anywhere. It's just the fact that they use timbers. And here's A really interesting fact about timbers, and the reason why I don't use them, is they have a life.
Diablo blades, baby. Cut that spike right in half. Those suckers can't be beat.
Or you could have moved the saw blade over just a hair and not cut a spike right in half and save that much more blade. But here's an interesting fact about timbers.
We got a little bit of a problem. Well, not problem, but this last timber down here, the parking lot is poured over.
So here's the interesting fact about timbers. They have a lifetime warranty on them until you cut them or drive a spike into them. So how do you make them stick together? How do you build anything with them? It's just a gimmick. When the manufacturers actually told me that, and I actually said that to them, they just kind of smiled. And I just kind of said I'm never using timbers again. Although in certain situations where you're okay with the wall degrading after anywhere from 10 to 25 years, because that's a typical lifespan of them, they can be a viable option because they're so good at bridging. And that's exactly what this company did, is they bridged. That's why they use timbers in here, because where we're digging right now is the beginning of the problems. It gets way worse behind us, and this is going to be part of this series. We have to keep changing our plan to compensate for the soils that we have underneath there. Oh, another question that people have asked is, why don't you take the CMP off? Well, because it's kind of a pain in the butt to take it off, put it on, take it off, put it on, and we're grabbing a lot of timbers, and then we're doing a little bit of digging, and pretty soon you get so comfortable just digging with that grapple that you don't care. It's just like, you just angle it a little different, scoop. It's like a different set of skills, but once you got them, you just flow with it. And it's the ratio of demolition to excavation is such that the slight inefficiency with the digging with the grapple is no big deal. Okay, one thing I would like to see them do before, we did do this, but what I'd like to see them do in the beginning is a saw cut on that asphalt. That way if there's a tear, it doesn't go too far.
It looks like it's under the parking lot, and it's in the class 5 in the parking lot, so it's filling up the hole. So I don't know how much is under there. Yeah, I mean, I'm walking on this. It's pretty firm underneath the water. It's just, I think all that class 5 underneath the asphalt, I think, is saturated and it's coming in through there. But it seems pretty solid under the water. But I don't know how deep you'd have to go to, if there can be water in the rock under the wall. Yeah. I don't know how deep you need to go, or what he recommends.
Maybe if Shane stops down here, we could top that too. Usually we just run up against the parking lot. Right next to it. All right, so while we're waiting for our blocks and drain tiles to get dropped off, we're gonna go through the pig and get it all greased up with my most favorite grease gun in the world.
So here's kind of a cool thing that we learned after the job was all done. The property manager came out and told us that they'd had so many water problems in this area that they have to drill holes in the parking lot because they get water blisters.
God dang it. All right, in true Volvo fashion, the damn thing's not starting. No, I need my wrenches. That stupid ground is loose. It looks like there's a bunch of water in there too, so I'll shut that electric off, take that off, dry it off, hook it up, and then maybe it'll start. And there is all of our block, of course.
So he was telling us that they have to drill holes in the parking lot to release the water from beneath the lot because they get blisters in the parking lot. Sam looks frustrated.
I'll bet you that terminal strip because we keep having to tighten this thing down.
Yeah, I wouldn't tighten that anymore. I think it's the thing on top of the battery. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm asking if you have a socket set with you.
Yeah, oh, I tried that.
Alright, because other plan B is someone's got to go get that ASB to get that guy unloaded, right?
Yeah, he's here. He's chilling.
Yeah, so we might have to go get that ASB.
Yeah, see that apostrophe starts flashing and then it does the engine warm, engine stop.
There's oil in it, right?
Yep. Alright guys, well, the Volvo is dead in the water. We're not super hopeful. We got tech coming out. And yeah. And it is now starting to rain. Good Lord.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing at Sam's pain, but if you guys work in our industry, you guys, how many times have you been there? You know it. You know that feeling. It's just one thing after another. You're trying to get ahead, and it seems like everything fights you. I mean, the job site is fighting us. The machinery is fighting us.
So we lost just under 2.5 hours because of that Volvo nonsense. So that ended up being almost 7.5 with the 3 of us.
I actually kind of think that's pretty awesome that my guys are taking the time to calculate what it actually costs the company and lost time while they're watching and seeing these delays. It's not good that we have those problems, but it's good that I actually have guys that are thinking along those lines. That's kind of awesome. I got great guys, man. I love my team. That's Blaine running the ASV. Never seen that dude get mad. Never. I don't understand it. And I mean, he's been in spots where he should get mad. You just can't ruffle his feathers. So I don't like unloading trucks. I mean, oh, this is cool. Look at how he can reach across the truck and unload from the other side. I mean, not all skid loaders can do that. Now most skid loaders can, but that's not something that you should take for granted, right? But I don't like unloading trucks because it just takes time.
Okay, we finally got the truck unloaded. Look at all these blocks. Now the $1 million question is going to be, where are we going to put them all?
Man, block has been hard to get this year. Oh, they are out. Oh, so we found out that there's been so much water. This is not normal right here, what we're doing. We actually had the engineer come out and we actually have to embed a drain tile in front of and below our wall. I'll tell you in a minute.
Well, here's the plan for today. Yesterday kind of went to heck, what with the Volvo breaking down. I was getting a little heated about that. You know, Blaine, the calmest guy I know, was getting irritated about that even, so. As far as today goes, we are going to start getting our base blocks in and start building. So hopefully we have a nice smooth day today. Oh, here you go. We need one of these little guys. The 35G. I've always been curious to try some John Deere stuff. Alright, we altered our plan a little bit. So initially, we were just gonna get that chunk that we did yesterday all based in and good to go, and then dig this out, base it, dig this out, base it. But Blaine wants to excavate the whole run, get our step up, excavate that out so that we can just base that whole run.
So if we go back to where we were installing that drain tile, that is not below our retaining wall. It's actually, if our wall is here, the face of our wall is here, it's in front of it by 12 inches and it's 12 inches below it. So we've made sure that it wasn't part of the surcharge zone, because the blocks, when you put a block down, it creates pressure, but that pressure doesn't go straight below the block. That pressure goes out like a triangle, and then outside of that triangular zone we put in drain tile, so any water coming in would grab it. We didn't want to rest the block on the drain tile, so it's an important point to differentiate.
We're at a half.
Half is only half.
So when you heard Sam say we're at a half, when we have a taller retaining wall that we fortify with grid, we have all these layers of grid, and you'll see some grid going in here pretty soon, and the grid itself is only about that thick, right? But when you have 7 layers of grid that thick, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you can see where now it'll squish down. But we always try to compensate for the base of the wall. We don't go, straight, level or dead level with them if we know we're going to be putting a lot of grid on the backside. And we never run the grid through the face because that's tacky. We want to run the grid up close to the face, but never through the face. And I've seen wall companies that do it through the face, and I don't know, that's not for me. But so we always compensate with the bubble, so we don't go dead level. If we've got a lot of grid on it, we won't go aggressive like this, but you can see if we're kicking, building the wall, we'll compensate for that grid. And there's the second drain tile system going in. So this has 2. One you can see down in the lower left corner, I believe, sticking out, and that gets daylighted down to about, we had to find a spot down the road to go daylight that. So that's just sucking up parking lot water. And then the drain tile that's in the wall sucks up actually, you should never see that drain tile work, to be quite honest with you. Let me just explain that real quick. Yes, there is drain tile in the wall, but this is a mortarless system. And what that means is the entire wall is designed to weep. So we put in a lot of drainage aggregate to make that happen.
It just started snowing. Yep, that is definitely snow.
So when I was telling you about the drain tile, is you should never actually see that work, because we put enough drainage aggregate into the wall to get all the water gone.
All right, guys, well, we are gonna call it a day. The weather has turned on us. It is really snowing. It's kind of turned this site into a muddy mess. I'll tell you guys what, probably 2 inches taller than when I got here this morning. So I got everything tarped off. We got our big old dirt pile back here tarped. So hopefully with the tarps down, we should be able to be out here tomorrow. I don't see why not. And then today, the section that we opened up yesterday, we got the base blocks in, second courses in. Then the next step after that would be getting a geogrid in, and behind our wall here we have to bring it up for the geogrid, so that the geogrid will sit flat on there. And we are not going to be able to do that today because it is really wet back there and you can't pack mud. So yeah, yeah, that's all I got. Hopefully we're able to be out here tomorrow.
Nope. Tomorrow was not going to happen, because that was the start of our first snowstorm of the season, and we got 8 inches of snow that night. And I think you guys, most of you guys have probably seen that video, plowing heavy, wet, cement style snow. And why the reason I'm releasing these out of order is I want to release them all back to back to back. So you guys are going to see this entire series come to life from start to finish until we wrap this project up. And I'll tell you right now that what you've seen today was only the very beginning of the problems on this site. We've got a lot more going on. And it wasn't until after we were completely wrapped up with the job did we find out that the management company knew about all of the water problems on the site. That's when they were started to tell us about having to drill holes in the parking lot because they get water blisters. About some of the other, the multitude of water problems that they were doing and how they were handling it and managing it. And when we first looked at the wall, you guys, did you see how flat, level, and true that was? That thing was really well built. But the company that built that overcompensated by putting a lot of extra dead men into that wall, and they had a drain tile system in below their wall as well. And so, you know, a lot of times when we go in and we do demolition, we don't find things well built, or we don't know how they built things or why they built things. In this case, we saw the drain tile in the front, and it was like, first thought is, oh, typical rookie mistake, put the drain tile in the wrong spot or whatever. But it wasn't. It was to release the pressure from below the parking lot. So they did know about that. And after looking at how they built the rest of the wall, it was very well done. So we've got a busy week ahead of us, and then we've got some really cool stuff coming right after that. That's our video for today. God bless you guys. Go get them, and hopefully we'll see you on another one.